Hey everybody, I wanted to share a resource with you that you may or may not have heard about. This is the Tennessee Electronic Library, or TEL for short. Please make sure that you print the PowerPoint presentation. This is the file that I'm showing you, but at about slide 5 or 6, I will be taking away this visual, so you'll need to have that PowerPoint to refer to as we start to work through the actual website steps. So TEL, Tennessee Electronic Library, is a taxpayer-funded access to over 70 library databases in Tennessee. So if you live in Tennessee, this is a free, or it's taxpayer-funded, service to you as a resident. If you are accessing this website from a different state, but you are a Tennessee resident, you can log in using your residential address. It gives you access to test prep, homework help, career tools, and genealogy. So there is a wealth of information on TEL. It is not just HiSET prep. This HiSET prep is one tiny part of this huge database. To access it, you do log into a website, and I'm going to walk you through this in just a second. As long as your IP address on your computer registers to a computer in Tennessee, you do not have to log in to TEL. It will allow you to go directly to the TEL homepage. If you are accessing the database outside of Tennessee, you will be prompted to enter your Tennessee residential address. So, for example, if I'm in Florida and I try to sign into the TEL website, I would have to put in my residential address to gain access. How does this help our students? There's one component of this resource that is especially helpful to HiSET students. It's the Peterson's Test and Career Prep app, and I'm going to show you how that works. This is used to improve scores on testing, and it is not just the HiSET. You can find schools, explore careers, and there's a vocational test prep app. So if you're studying for the police officer exam, I believe is on there. The ASVAB for military, I believe, is on there. I know it's on TEL. I'm just not sure it's under this link. But there is much more than just HiSET. You will have to create an account to access the Peterson app because you need to be able to go back and pick up where you left off. So the account allows the system to track your progress and go back to the place you stopped the last time. You get to choose a username and password. An email address is not required, but it is recommended in case you need to reset your password. If you use an email address, this will automatically become your username. So if you do put in the email address, you don't get to choose a username. And I did mention you will be able to come back and resume work where you stop. Okay, to access HiSET materials, I'm actually going to go to the website and walk you through this process. And this is where your PowerPoint printout will help you follow along with what I'm doing. So let me go out of the file viewer and into the internet. And I'm just going to type in the address www.tentel.info and go. And this is the home page for TEL. You notice that the four subjects, or not subject, but the four types of assistance are listed there in the middle. Let me zoom if I can. Homework help, test prep, career tools, genealogy. I also want you to notice this banner under the Tennessee Electronic Library. We're on the home page, but there's a page for educators. We'll look at that in just a minute. There's just so much on here. I wouldn't even begin to try to cover all of this. You and I are looking at test prep. So let's go to this particular link. Just click on that link, and this brings you to the test prep homepage. Now, when I first logged into this, I went immediately to a search bar because that's how I do everything. But you don't want to do that here. You want to, first of all, let me call your attention to two different options here. You have the icon and you have this link. So I'm going to click that link and just show you. Let me do that again. I did not click the picture. I clicked test and career prep right there. So I'm going to click that and open that up. And this gives you a narrative explanation of what all is in here. So if you need a little more information than I'm providing today, I suggest looking at this link. But generally, when you get to this screen, the home page, and actually I'm just going to back up and start this again. I logged into TEL. I click test prep. And now I want to click on that blue icon, the Peterson's icon, because that will bring me directly. Please bring me directly. It's trying. Okay, and I'm using my iPad for this one. Before I used the desktop, which was much faster. I can tell you it may just be my internet or something going on. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is search for HiSET. Now you can go through and look at all those colored blocks. There's good stuff in there, but I'm going to search HiSET, HISET, and just hit search. And it will give you the 3 HiSET resources. And let me just tell you a little bit about these. The first one is HiSET practice test. There are 2 full-length practice tests. They are timed, and they are for each subtest. So there are 2 math tests, there are 2 reading tests, and so on. There's also an additional resource in this section. Let me just click on it so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to click HiSET practice test right there. And this is where you're prompted to log in. Now, I already have an account, but I'm going to create another one just to show you how this works. I created an account using an email address, so that became my username. But if you're using this for the first time, you need to go to New User Sign Up. And you just put in your info. And I'm going to use my middle name to set this one up. I am not going to put in an email address. I'm just going to go ahead and choose my own username. So I'm going to hopefully use this one. You want to set up a password. That can be anything that you want it to be. And I'm not sure why it's saying that my username is not valid. Let's see. It could be because it has spaces. That's what it was. So apparently with username, you can't have any spaces. It's all one word. And then it asks you to choose a secret word, just so that you can use that as a security measure. And then you just click register. It's really pretty simple to set up an account. You might want to help your students do that. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so once I have that account created, I'm going to search for HiSET again. Come back to these HiSET practice tests. I'm sorry about the lag, but I wanted you to see. So I'm on slide 7 of the PowerPoint. I'm under that first bulleted resource, the HiSET practice test. You have 2 full-length tests. With additional resources, you have some math flashcards. These are really nice. You also have the formulas. You have vocabulary flashcards. So there are lots of good resources here under that tab. Now, let me show you something that drives me crazy, but it's just the way it is. If you notice up here, I'm getting tabs for each of these things I click. So if you want to go back to a previous window, you need to close the tab, or that's the easiest way that I've found to do it. So that brings me back to this resource list. Master the HiSET exam. This is a 600-page ebook that covers all of the subtest areas. It does include practice tests. So if you are looking for new HiSET material, this is a source. If you click on that, it is going to download it as a PDF, and here's what it looks like. So you could bring this up in your GoodNotes app. You can print this if you want to use lessons from this. And it's organized sort of like those big thick books that we use, the HiSET users or HiSET guide, like the big heavy thick book that has all of the subjects. Okay, again, I'm going to close this tab to go back. The high school equivalency exams show you materials for HiSET, but also for GED, for TASC, and there is an option here for students who need the test in Spanish. It is GED. It's 2 practice tests for the GED, but it is in Spanish. So that's an option if you have students who are taking that test. You can also, on this window, go back. Instead of closing the tab here, I'm just going to go back to home. But then I have to search for HiSET again. I'm still not as familiar with the navigation on this, especially on the iPad, as I would like to be. But those are the 3 main resources for HiSET. Just some other features. This is slide 8 of the PowerPoint. While I'm on this screen, I want to show you 2 more things. There is a tutorials and usage guides link down here at the bottom. You can click on that to get I'm not going to click on it, but you can to get a wealth of extra stuff. Also, I wanted to show you the site map. I am going to click on this one, because this gives you a list of the different tests that are offered, the practice materials for tests. So you have HiSET is just a tiny, tiny piece. It's actually 2 links in this whole list. So there is so much here that I could spend all day, all week, just exploring the different things here. Okay, I'm going to go back to improve your score. I believe, yes, this is the next thing. So what I've done, I've clicked on this improve your score link. I want to show you, this is slide 9 of the PowerPoint. If your students aren't ready for HiSET level materials, there is a foundational skills option. There's English and writing, math tutorials, and all kinds of question banks. There's even Microsoft Office tutorials. There are math videos that you can have your students watch. They are whiteboard style videos. So they're sort of like Khan Academy, that type. Let me just click on that. And so under that foundational skills, there are 45 topics of math videos that you can watch, which is really nice, I think. Okay, I'm going to close this tab, and I'm going to go back to improve my score. I'm going to try anyway. I want to show you, this is slide 10 of the PowerPoint, the international link for ESL students. If they're studying for the TOEFL or the TOEIC or U.S. citizenship, there are resources for our ESL folks as well. Those of you teaching high-set social studies, you might even want to use the citizenship lessons to teach the social studies, the history and government. Okay, I want to show you the progress meter. And so I'm actually going to join a course. I think I'm going to go back to that foundational skills. And I'm going to pick the math skills tutorial. I'm sure that surprises you that I would choose that one. I avoid English stuff like the plague. I do not do words. So this is a course interface. I've chosen one of those course modules. This is Basic Skills Math Tutorials. One of my favorites is Math Thinking Skills. It's the fourth one. I have been looking for someone or something to teach math thinking skills for curriculum for as long as I've been doing curriculum. So I was really happy to see this one. Problem-solving strategies. Rewriting using math symbols. How important is that one? To translate things into math language. So that was a really good one, I thought. Anyway, I'm getting off on, I'm chasing rabbits. Don't mean to do that. The progress meter, this is slide 11. There are actually two things here that I want to show you. There are grades and class progress. Grades is just a grade book. It's going to show me if I have taken quizzes, which I have not. It would show me what I scored on each of the quizzes. Class progress is not talking about your whole class as a teacher. It's talking about my class as a student. So class progress is a little bit misleading to me. It makes me think as a teacher I can see everybody in my class. That is not what we're saying here. This is just sort of the progress report for me as the student. For Beth Keller, this is the progress report. Grades is the report card. It's the actual number score that I would have made on those quizzes. And I haven't taken any quizzes, so you could use this for teacher verification model. If you have your student to print the quizzes, you could assign a value for each of those quizzes like we do in the Schoology program, whatever you feel is sufficient. But this would be your documentation for the sign-in sheet. You would just print this. You'll have to have your student to print. Right now, there is no way for the teacher to get in there and manage a class. Okay, the last slide, just some other stuff to know. Some of the resources are printable. We talked about that. The 600-page textbook can be downloaded as a PDF, so you could pull that up in GoodNotes if you wanted. One thing that is a little bit weird to me, the practice tests are called quizzes in the Peterson's interface. So when you talk about a practice test with your students, Peterson's calls that a quiz. So just be aware of that difference in terminology. Students can see correct answers once they submit a quiz. This is important. If they repeat quizzes, they will see the questions in exactly the same order. So they could potentially just memorize the correct answers or write them down. Just be aware of that if you have students that you suspect may cheat. I hate to say that, but if you're using that as a measuring tool for their readiness and they've cheated, obviously that's not much help. So just be aware that the questions are not shuffled. We talked about courses open in new tabs. If you need to navigate back to a previous screen, look at those tabs at the top. So, for example, I'm in grades and foundational skills. I want to get out of that and go back to the menu. I would close the tab to do that. On the TEL homepage, and let me just go back to that. Again, I'm closing tabs. This is the the testing homepage, I want to go all the way back to the TEL homepage, and that will be this one. There are some links under the Educators tab that you might find interesting. There are databases for educators, lesson plans, and student activities. So you might want to check those out. If you write lesson plans, let me just click on there to show you how they're organized. The Tennessee Blue Book lesson plans, I've heard of that one, and that's the only one of these I've heard of, so you might want to look in there. Student activities, there are some web-based things. The World Book scavenger hunts, those are fun. I enjoyed doing those with my students. So lots of things here that you may find useful. Okay, I believe I've shown you everything I needed to show you. I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions about it, please don't hesitate to email me. It's amanda.keller@tcatknoxville.edu. So I hope you found something here that you can use. Please share this with folks who may not have received this email. And I hope you have a really good day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.